I think Nola just set this call up perfectly. What is the reason for you to be building this business? And I think every single one of you on the call, and I know many of your reasons, have a real reason for becoming a near life distributor and achieving that goal or dream. And I've heard some of your reasons, and they're extremely motivating. But we know that this business is built when it's intentionally built. This business, I've never seen it build by accident or somebody stumble over success in this business. It has to be intentional. And now it is a part-time business, but it's a funny combination. We can't treat it like a part-time business. It has to be a high priority part-time business where we actually are building it with a sense of urgency. And that's just something which I've learned along the way. We have to have a sense of urgency in building this business. And so for whatever reason you are building your business, your why, I'm going to say your key to unlocking success and achieving that why is becoming a director. That is the first key in this business. And we've got a very clear strategy that we're running with this year to become a director. And we've got a vision to create a director farm where we are just creating directors every month in this team. And it's a very intentional strategy because we know that the market ebbs and flows. And when the economy is doing really well, when the households have great cash flow, they have extra money, we go out and we sell a lot of product. That's what we do. We sell a lot of product and we get very product orientated. But on the other end of the spectrum, when the economy is tough, when there is uncertainty, where people are struggling, and man, I don't have to tell you people are struggling. We know this, we hear it every day of our lives. That is when our business has to shift from a heavy product focusing model to a heavy entrepreneurial focusing model where we have to get out and we have to create entrepreneurs. Yes, we will always talk a lot about the product, but we also have to incorporate a lot of business talk. We have to show people how they can make money through a new entrepreneurial venture through Near Life. And so that is incorporated into our strategy this year. And so I've got a couple of slides I'm going to run through. And this is interactive. If you've got questions, I'm going to bring Viv Body in just a moment. You can see my screen, Mom? Yes? Okay. So the strategy that we are running with as a team and as a company is to build a team of business builders. The only way you're going to go director is to have a team around you. Very important. You don't go direct on your own. You don't go director with 5 or 10 people in your team. You go director with 30, 40, 50 people in your team that are all business builders. And so who is a business builder? A business builder is somebody who is a qualified distributor doing 100 personal PV or more every month. Now we have distributors and we have a qualified distributor. And that's the terminology we use. A qualified distributor is somebody who does 100 points like their life depends on it every single month. And that's the minimum. And that can be built up to 250 points, 500 points and more. But we're talking about a minimum of 100 points. The second thing that defines a business builder is somebody who runs to achieve their 3 and 30 incentive every month. What is a 3 and 30 for the new people? That is when you go and you recruit 3 distributors every month. And those 3 distributors are business builders because they do 100 points. And sure, some months people don't achieve their 3 and 30, but they're shooting for it every month. And they might get 2, they might get 1. But most months they are achieving their 3 and 30 incentive. Okay, so I hope that's simple and it makes sense. And so there it is, 100 points and a 3 and 30. So this is you and your 100 points. We know we have a whole catalog of products. And a big issue when people start with us is they're confused. There's 80, 90 products in their catalog and they don't know what to talk about. They don't know what does what. And they think, okay, I need to learn all these products before I talk to anybody. And they're in a state of paralysis. And so we are keeping it super simple. We are focusing on TreeNN as the business building product because we know that a new distributor can go out and sell 6 TreeNN in their first week because we can teach them how to talk about TreeNN. So that is how we build the 100-point model. And your 3 and 30, when you are implementing your 3 and 30 into your business every month, that is when you are going to start building a team around you of business builders who also do their 100 points and also do their 3 and 30. Now, for a model like this to develop, you are going to have to learn some skills. Okay, we call them the 7 business builder fundamentals. We don't have the time to go through all of them tonight. We're going to go through 5 of them. But it always amazes me. People start out in Neolife with big goals, big dreams. They have a good why. And so often after 3 months, they go, you know what, this isn't working. And they maybe don't quit, but they step back or they lose their belief. But we've been built into a system where a teacher, as an example, okay, I'm not picking on teachers, but I'm going to use a teacher as an example. They'll go and study for 3 or 4 years. They will commit 3 to 4 years of their life, earning nothing, accumulating student debt very often for a lifetime of an income that will just pay their bills. Yeah, and we can apply that to many other careers. So you have to give your business time, be prepared to give your business time, but even more importantly, it doesn't have to take a long time. You need to be prepared to give your business the attention to build the skills that will help you grow an organization. And we call these skills the 7 fundamentals. Number 1, finding and inviting prospects. Number 2, how to present your product and your opportunity to those prospects. Number 3, how to follow up, how to handle objections, because there will be objections when you are presenting and following up, and how to close people to either become a train and customer or to become a business building distributor. And then once they become a business building distributor, you're going to have to learn the skills to get them started effectively so that they can go out and grow their business. And you need to develop the skills to become the best event promoter in your business. So we're going to start at the very beginning. Finding and inviting prospects. Now, Viv, I'm just going to stop my screen share here, and I'm going to ask you to just put your video on and unmute you. There we are. Viv has been doing business up the North Coast this afternoon, and I think she's just snuck into the Zoom, so we so appreciate having you on, Viv. But Viv is going to start at the very beginning because she's doing this job so well in her business. Finding prospects. Where does that start for a distributor, Viv? Good evening, by the way.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Viv, for those who don't know me. And thank you for asking that question, Drew. I remember when Antoinette invited me, I hope you can hear me, by the way. When Antoinette invited me to look at the business and product, one of the things that was very clear was that when we came to an event, we were told that there are about 250 people behind each person. And that's quite amazing. You might not realize it, but today, that was 18 years ago. We didn't have cell phones 18 years ago, I don't think. And when I think of somebody with a cell phone now, you have innumerable contacts in your phone, and those are going to be your hot and your cold prospects. That's what we call them. Your hot ones are people that you know, or your warm market are people that you know, people that their family, colleagues, friends, and those are the people that you're going to probably start with. Now, I've been in the business 18 years, and I can see Nola and Rory, and guess how many years they've been in the business? 49 years. And they're still in this business. And they're not going to stop. I'm going to tell you a very quick story. 18 years ago, I went out into the marketplace on my own, and I approached the first 11 people, and all of them were part of Neolife. And I can remember coming in with my little kit to Nola's office, and I threw it down on the table and I said, "This business can't work. Everyone's a Neolife." And she sat me down and she said, "Viv, well done. You happened to go and look for 11 good people, but somebody got there before you. Go and look for the next 11 people." And that's exactly what I did. But the most important thing I want to tell you is your names list. Now, this is not a list where you think about it and you've got to write it down. And Rory always gave me this very good advice, and Antoinette used to always follow up. When you write a names list, it's a name, a telephone number, and something about that person that you can identify with. that you remember them why they are, because you're going to go to them and say, you know, I remember, you know, you were always a keen entrepreneur, or anyway, whatever. It's something important so that you remember how to start a conversation, because it's all about relationships, this business. And we're going to build some relationships as we go. So that names list, what does it look like? Well, I'm going to tell you, it needs to look like about 100 names. And you're probably going to say, what? I don't know 100 people. Of course you do. But never to worry about that. At least we need to be working with 15 people at any one time. And I say that because I remember we were told that if your names list is too short or too small, what you're going to do is you're going to end up giving too much information to the few that you have, and they are going to feel the pressure. And so they might not stay with you. So what we need to do is to be intentional. I just want to give you a few tips. So, for example, this last week, I've added quite a few names to my list. Why? I happen to be in a shop exchanging a pair of shoes. Very nice, presentable manager, very efficient. And I just sort of very surreptitiously said to her, by the way, do you use nutrition? And she said, yes, I do. I'm very interested in da-da-da-da. Anyway, one thing, and she was very keen to know what I do. And yes, I could have her telephone number. And she got added to my list. I didn't go for business. I went for product. And then I was in another shop and I saw a lovely lady, same, very presentable, very organized and efficient. And we ended up speaking product and business. And I have her number as well. And we are going to be connecting. And so it goes on. You know, I'm going to be honest with you. I meet these people and I'm not going to tell you that every single person says yes when they meet with me, but I stay in touch with them, as Antoinette well taught me. And I am able to go back to them and follow up, which is another one of the very, very important fundamentals. So, you know, that list is just so imperative. You have to have a little book with you. And as you're driving or as you're walking or as you're just at home, you know, thinking about things, you're going to remember people. But the most important thing is that I'm suggesting that you never prejudge a single person on your list, because I've done that. And I remember Rory saying, Viv, don't do that. Antoinette as well, don't do that, because you just never know who is going to say yes. And it's up to them to say yes or no. And I think we need to be upfront. I'm going to be honest, when 18 years ago, I didn't really enjoy rejection. And I'm sure none of us do. But the important thing is that they're not rejecting us. If you do any self-development, if you read any of the books that they recommend us, you've got to recommend we read. You've got to learn that they're not saying no to you personally. They're saying no at that time. And it might be no for now, but it's not no forever. And the other thing is that when you start out, your skills aren't as defined or honed as they are when you've been in business for some years. But the important thing is that you start work. Now, the thing about a sponsor I want to say as well is this. When you first start, ask your sponsor to help you. And I'm going to encourage you. I just heard Drew say, don't learn about 90 products and then say I'm ready, because you won't be ready. You know what it is? It's an on-the-job learning program. Just imagine if you had a shop and you decided that until you knew exactly how everything worked in the shop, and you're not going to sell anything until you are feeling confident, you're going to go bankrupt because you've got to pay rent. There's a sense of urgency that Drew talked about. And also, if your why and your purpose is strong, then that training is going to come in. And a sponsor is someone who can help you because they know how to present. They're going to show you how to present. They're going to show you how to deal with handling objections. And it's on the job training, and it starts immediately. Because what needs to happen is that faith needs to grow, that belief system that this can bring you you can earn some money and get, whether it be part-time or full-time, whatever you've decided and whatever amount it is that you want, you have to see that coming in for you to have traction in your belief and for you to continue to grow and keep doing, adding a few extra hours to your week, knowing that there's going to be a benefit for your family, for you, from a health perspective, from a happy perspective, and that you're going to be able to make good choices. So that list is so important, and it's something you can work with your sponsor. They will help you and guide you and ask you, what about that person? And you might decide you're going to go and try business. But as you start the conversations and you start building into the relationships and looking, that's where the inviting will come, and you'll soon find out whether it's going to be a business orientation. We teach you that, whether it's going to be business or whether it's going to be product. I'm just going to encourage you, call on your sponsor, whoever that is, and ask them to stand by you. Get in and dig deep, because it's actually a lot of fun. And what you're doing is, if you believe in yourself and you believe in the product and you believe in this business system, you are helping them to change their lives forever. And, you know, the trajectory of good health is going to go upwards. And so is their income, and their net worth at the end of the day is what we're trying to help people with, a return on investment. I think I've spoken enough, Drew. I think I'm probably past my 7 minutes. Over to you. I hope I've filled in the right information.
Viv, spot on, spot on. Thank you so much, Viv. And that, you can hear, it's coming from a real practical standpoint. And you know, Viv mentioned, don't prejudge people. That's just such a key part of it. And you start, if you're new on this call, if you're a new distributor, that's fantastic. And that, it really starts with your warm prospects that Viv mentioned, your friends, your relatives, your neighbors. Add all of them. You're going to talk to all of them, and often you practice on them and you make all your mistakes on them. Don't expect your business to succeed purely on the people from that you know right now. And Viv mentioned something so important. She adds names to her list, and that's what we call an active name list. That name list has to be active, and you've got to treat that name list like gold, because if you don't have a name list, you don't have a business. And so that's something I just want to highlight that Viv said, is be intentional about meeting new people. Go out every day and try and find somebody new to add to your name list. And that means you need to get out there with a positive mental attitude. You need to be prepared to reach out and say, hey, how are you doing, to somebody in a queue, or when you get a chance to engage with somebody, getting to know people, connecting with them. And here's a mistake that I'm going to share with you that I made. Yeah, I was the most excited distributor that you ever met. And every time I got a chance to connect with somebody, I would try and tell them that we had the best products in the world. I'd try and tell them that we had the most amazing business opportunity in the world. They were not interested. And my father said to me, Drew, what you're doing is you're taking bird seed and you're running up to the birds and you're throwing the bird seed at the birds, and they just want to get away from you. You need to take your bird seed and you need to sprinkle on the ground, and you need to make your product, your opportunity attractive to them based on their needs. And so it is a real skill. So that's skill number one, is finding prospects, and it starts with your name list. And then we're going to go into inviting the prospects. Remember, finding and inviting prospects, right? Let me go and find my screen again. Okay, finding and inviting prospects, because this is what we call sharing. You know, the second daily success habit, sharing your product and your opportunity. This is the activity that will help you sponsor new distributors into your team every month. And so this activity, finding and inviting prospects, it's the lifeblood of your business, the absolute lifeblood of your business. And developing the skills to effectively invite people to take a look at your product and your opportunity is a skill that you're going to have to develop. There's no way of getting around this. And there's 2 steps to inviting. We're going to get quite practical. I'm just trying to sort my screen out because I can't see what's going on. But There we go. I think that's a little bit better. There's 2 steps to inviting the prospect from your name list. Number 1, start by identifying the people on your list who have a need for your product or your opportunity. Put everybody on your list and then start going through them and identifying the people that have a need for your product or opportunity. And a need could be anything from wanting better health. Hey, that's a product prospect. Needing more energy, a desire to lose weight, a need for more money, a need to educate their children, a need to get out of debt, or maybe they just have a desire to travel, or they have a desire to live a better life, have a better lifestyle, become an entrepreneur in the current environment. Those are what we call needs. There's a million different needs. Write down a need next to every prospect that you have on your list. Then step number 2 is invite them to take a look at the near life solution that speaks to that need that they have. If somebody is complaining to you that they have no energy, don't go and try and get them involved in a business opportunity because they're just trying to stay awake. If somebody is complaining to you that they are struggling financially or have big goals or dreams, don't try and sell them a nutritional product. They are motivated to make money. Sell them the opportunity. So know the need. Okay, know the need that speaks to your prospect. And we invite them using the power question. It's highlighted in green. If I, would you? That's the inviting power question. If I, would you? And so what I'm going to give you here is, I'm not trying to give you a script where you learn like a parrot, but I'm trying to give you a scaffolding structure that you can use to invite your prospects based on your relationship with them and your personality, using a simple structure that can be used in any situation. If I could show you a solution to that challenge, would you take a look? If I could show you a way to achieve that goal, would you take a look? So here is okay, I didn't actually write it down, but I'll give you an example. Hi Jane, it's Drew speaking. We met the other day, and I'm just calling you for a specific reason, Jane. The other day in conversation, you mentioned that your daughter really wants to study medicine. Financially, you said that was going to be a problem for you. Jane, I think I have a solution to that challenge. If I invited you as my guest to an opportunity presentation this Saturday, would you join me? Could you see what I did there? I used if I, would you? I highlighted her need that she communicated to me. And then I invited her to take a look at a solution using the if I, would you power question. Another example. Hi, John, it's Drew speaking. John, I'm calling for a specific reason. Let's try and make this call. Yeah, we don't want to waffle on about a whole bunch of different things. We want to make it quite specific, keep the call short and sweet. I'm calling for a specific reason. The other day you mentioned your low energy levels and how it's affecting your work and your family life. John, I really believe I have the perfect solution to that challenge. If I sent you a nutrition presentation that would give you more information, would you take a look? Now, in both examples, I did 2 things. I highlighted their need, and then I invited them to take a look at the solution using the if I, would you power question. Super simple. If I, would you? And here's a pro tip for you. Don't try and explain everything in the invitation. And so often we get into that mode of we try and explain how everything, that doesn't work. Your job is just to invite them to take a look at the solution at a specific date and time. Rather point them to the information or point them to the meeting that you're inviting them to, as this is where they're going to get all the information they need. And somebody might push back and say, Drew, tell me more about it. I said, John, listen, I've only got a minute. So listen, okay, join me on Saturday. You're going to get all the information you need on Saturday morning. Always refer them to the tool or the presentation that you are inviting them to. Okay, so that's inviting. Cool. Any questions? Can we move on? The second fundamental is how to present the product and the opportunity. Okay, how to present the product and the opportunity. Now, we're not training on how to present tonight. I think next Thursday night, we're going to be doing a training session, no, not if I'm correct, on how to present your cellular nutrition in your training. But as a business builder, your business relies on you being able to present the training solution and to be able to present the business opportunity. showing people how to make money. And you might not be able to do it now, but over the next 3 to 4 weeks, you will be a professional presenter. Okay, make it your job to learn how to present the product and the opportunity. And we're going to be teaching you that over the next few weeks. But if you can't do it, it's important to do it, because then you aren't relying on anybody else. If you meet somebody, you can say, hey, let's go for a cup of coffee. Hey, let's meet for a cup of coffee before work tomorrow. Hey, lunch break, I'm going to buy you a cup of coffee. We're going to talk business. You can do it yourself. But if you can't do that yet, then you need to rely on and use the presentations available in your area. Now, in the month of March, we're doing a Explore Near Life road trip around the region. There's going to be a meeting in your region. I have no doubt about that. Make sure you're inviting guests to that meeting. Use your sponsor or leader who does know how to present and say, hey, John, I need you on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We're doing 3 opportunity presentations this weekend, and we're doing 2 more on the weekend. Put them in your diary. I'm inviting like crazy, and I'm going to fill your time up. Okay, so make sure that you are having at least 3 to 4 presentations a week minimum if you want to grow this business. 1 or 2 a week doesn't work. 3 or 4 minimum. Massive action. Okay, so that's presenting. We're going to get stuck into that. Fundamental number 3 is how to follow up. Now, if you're inviting prospects and you're presenting the product or the opportunity, following up has to happen. Following up is critical. We call it the fortune is in the follow-up. And now here's an interesting stat for you. 80% of sales and signups happen in the 5th to 12th connection or follow-up. 80%. So what we often do, and I've made this mistake hundreds of times, you invite somebody, they attend a meeting or they get onto a Zoom call, and you follow up once or twice. And then if you don't get the sale, you don't get the sign up, and you kind of just step away. 80% of the sales and signups are happening in the 5th to 12th connection and follow up. So become a professional follow-upper. So make sure to check in with your prospects again in a few weeks. And it's not in a few weeks, within a few days or immediately after presenting, using what we call the power follow-up question. And this question is, what did you like best? What did you like best? And we've learned that this is a positive question to ask, because many people make the mistake of saying, so John, what did you think? And you know what John's brain does? John's brain immediately goes to all the things he didn't like. That's human spirit. That's human nature. I don't know why. But what we've learned is by saying, what did you like best? John or Mary's brain goes to find, okay, well, I like that the most. And they will communicate what they found valuable in the presentation. And John might say to you, hey, that product, I have been lacking energy, and I think that product is going to sort my challenge out. Now, John's communicated to you that he is interested in the product. So you can take him down that road and make him a customer. Mary might say, hey, that is exciting, because if I could earn just an extra 10,000 Rand a month, like you said I could, that's my daughter's ticket into medical school. Now, you don't take her down the product sales route, you make her a distributor. So based on their answer, what did you like best? Or the answer to their question, you know how to follow up with them effectively. Example, hi, John, just checking in. Did you log on to that Zoom presentation last night? If John says yes, say, great. Now that you have all the information, I'd love to hear, what did you like best? What did you like best? And you wait for his answer. What about John says, no, I didn't log on. You go back to the previous step, the invite. Hey, no problem, John. I know you're a busy man. If I invited you as my guest to a presentation this Saturday, would you join me? Hey, John, I know you're a busy man. So how about this? If I invited you, instead of coming to a meeting on Saturday, if I invited you tomorrow night to just log on to a Zoom call from the comfort of your own home, would you join me? Okay, you just reset that invitation up again. Making sense to everybody? Yes? Okay, good. What if they're negative? I've just thrown this in there because we've got to be prepared. If we're going to be professional, we've got to be prepared for the stuff. Not everybody's going to be positive, and that is okay. They don't have to all be positive. What if they are negative when following up? Be prepared. And this is just something that I personally use. Your job is to invite and present and be confident in that the nutrition and financial solution you offer is world-class. That's your job. Be confident in that. But if they're negative, you say, hey, that's no problem. Or my goodness, I never hear that. I'm so sorry, but just a question. What were you hoping to see? Put the question back onto them. Give them an opportunity to tell them what they thought they would see, or to present you with an objection. Okay, this is just an effective little tool in the following up if somebody isn't positive, if they're negative. And that takes us into skill number 7, or fundamental number 4, how to handle objections effectively. Now, if you're inviting people, if you're presenting, if you're following up, objections are going to happen. Not all the time, but they're going to happen. And so often people don't even do the inviting process, or they don't even start writing a name list because they are scared of handling objections. Your job is to be very comfortable and confident in handling objections. And as Viv says, it's an on-the-job training. I'm going to give you some skills and you're going to learn further skills, but it's on-the-job training. It's the best way to learn how to handle objections. So we use the feel, felt, found method. A mistake distributors sometimes make is if somebody says, oh, but that's a scam, that's a pyramid, the products are too expensive. Those are objections that we get. Sometimes we find ourselves in argumentative mode where we try and argue with them. And when you're arguing with your prospect, there is no winner. Their point of view gets stronger, your point of view gets stronger, and you're never going to meet in the middle. If somebody presents an objection to you, that is a very exciting moment for you in this journey, because it gives you an opportunity to continue the conversation, not argue and end the conversation, but get them over, give them a different perspective and continue this follow-up process. And the feel, felt, found method. I know how you feel. I actually felt the same way, but this is what I found. And that kind of just neutralizes the objection. And I've got some examples here using that. The products are too expensive. Who's heard that one before? I know I have, but you know how I mitigated that? I got over myself and I stopped thinking they were expensive. Training is not expensive. And when I stopped thinking the products were expensive, I stopped getting that objection, by the way. But here's a way to handle it. I found that buying the best is always worth it when it comes to your health. And you might start that off by saying, John, I know exactly how you feel. When I looked at these products for the first time, I felt exactly the same way. I thought they were too expensive, but this is what I found. I found that buying the best is always worth it when it comes to your health. If you were trying to increase your energy level, buying the best is always worth it, and it's going to give you the energy that you're looking for. But can I ask you a question? If I can help you earn these products for free every month through our distributor program, would that make it easier for you? Would paying for your first order then be worth it? Just a thought. I know exactly how you feel. I felt the same way when I first saw the products, but I found anything else but I haven't found anything else that gives me these kind of results. Okay, here are just some ideas. What about if they say they don't have the money to start the business? Hey, I'm so sorry to hear that. It sounds like you're in a tough spot. Let me ask you a question. Do you have a plan to fix that? Okay. Do they make them start thinking? They say it's too expensive, but do they have a plan to fix their situation? And now, for many people, this is part of their story. Let me tell you something, John. I felt the same way. In fact, I had to go out and sell some household items to get started. But they taught me what to do, and I'm so thankful that I was able to turn my situation around. Start formulating some ideas and thoughts for these common objections. What about they don't have time? John, it might not be a fit for you, but I found that the busiest people are often the most successful in our business. If you're looking to create more time for you or your family, do you have a plan to fix that? Just a few ideas. So I actually have a PDF document of our 16 most common objectives, which we haven't shared in a little while. And so I'll get that out onto the Vision group tomorrow, and you can get that into your teams. And then the fifth fundamental is closing a prospect. That you've got that name list, you're confidently inviting them. You might need to invite 10 people to get 3 presentations. You are presenting to them, or you're doing three to 4 presentations minimum a week. You're following up, you're handling the objections. You have to get that prospect to a point where they become a customer or they become a distributor. And that is what we call closing a prospect. And I'm going to hand over to our strongest closer that I know, which is my sponsor, Rory. Welcome, Rory. Good evening. You're on mute.
Good evening, everyone, and gee, thank you. It's just so good getting together in these groups, and I just want to thank firstly Viv. You know, I was looking at Viv and listening to her words, and I remember Viv when I first met her many years ago, 18 years ago, and Viv's entire image has changed and become so professional. She speaks so well, she looks so good, her hair's beautifully done. She has the right image, business image. And it's so important that people, remember, people buy you long before they even think about your product, long before they even think about your business. So you are your own best brand. And so that personal development in becoming more or better or more professional is so critical. So Viv, just thank you so much for your input. We so value you, and you're just such an asset to our business, and I thank you for that. Druza, thank you. Druza, by the way, that's my son, Andrew. We call him Druza. But Drew, that was such a practical explanation of our system. You know, I must say that in the early days, never, ever, ever before have we had this kind of assistance, technical assistance, where it's so clearly, a system is so clearly outlined for you to just learn and study and adopt. And, you know, so thank you, Druza, for your input. And as always, my dear wife, Noel, thanks, my sweetheart. You are such an asset to us, and I just love you lots. But to those of you on the business today, we're talking about you and your financial future. And, you know, when we use the word close, I don't particularly like the word close, but when you bring a meeting to an end, there are 3 basic things you go through. Firstly, establish, has that person got the desire? If they have the desire, we are now furnishing the opportunity. And the third thing is to take the action on that opportunity, and that's where you can handle objections. And Drew's going to give you that list of objections. So we're putting on a plate for you. But when you start a person, you know, so often people start the business and they invest time and they invest effort getting people signed up. And so often people think, sure, I've signed that person up, good, let's go and find the next one. That is so wrong. When you sign up a person, the reality of it all is the work actually starts from that point. So signing up is all good and well, but you start to then the next 2 months period that you go in, the first 2 months in the business is so critical, and you've got to spend so much time just getting them orientated and getting them the results in the first couple of months. Another mistake that people make is they come in with unrealistic expectations. And, you know, so when we are doing our business presentations, don't promise the world. Just give them the facts, be excited about them, be enthusiastic about it, but make it believable and keep it realistic. That's very important. And, you know, that's basically how we get someone started. So it's going through those desire, opportunity, action. And then once you've got them started, it's a question of being organized and making sure that you start orientating them into a couple of things. And I'm going to go through a few steps here. The first one is to make sure that that new person becomes a user of the product, because they can either do it through the change of buying habits or the 6-pack investment, which we mentioned. Now, I'm an advocate of having an investment in stock. Like a farmer who tries to plant mealies without seed, gets nowhere with it. What I'm going to suggest is that you get that little 6-pack system going. I believe that's going to work so well of tree and in. Get that moving for you, because that will give you something to show and something to sell. And that will get your business going. And Andrew explained so beautifully how you start building these little hubs of 100-point hubs and so on. That's been explained already. So make sure that the person uses the product, because only through personal experience do they get emotionally attached to our product range. Only when they emotionally attach to something will they produce a story. And it's the story that sells. It's the person's business story that actually makes, I said they buy you first. It's your story they actually buy, which makes the product move. So that's the first thing I want you to make sure you're doing. Secondly, make sure that new distributors get connected to the company. Get connected by knowing their website, how to have access to the website, by downloading the apps, the NeoLife app and the TNL app. Make sure they get connected with that. Make sure that they know how to place their first orders, or do it manually through WhatsApp if they're more suited to that. Okay. And then make sure also that they understand the compensation plan and where the actual product comes from, or the profit comes from. So, basically, do not be scared to ask for the order, and do not be scared to make the decision or ask them to join the business, because people read your confidence and your certainty. They buy you before they buy that. And if you're certain that this business will be good for them and their futures, think about them. Put your own needs aside and think about what the business can do. Get enthusiastic about their future, and they'll pick up that certainty from you. Remember that people follow strength, and strength with humility. You don't have to be boastful about this business, but be strong and have humility with it. Okay. If you're not strong in closing and getting people started, no one wins, because they lose the greatest opportunity of their life and you lose a great distributor. So you've got to be strong and be assured that what you're doing is right. And technically, when you're doing a business presentation, and I get this feel all the time that I almost have that person's entire future in my hands. And if I can get them into this business and get them started, I've given them a complete new set of guidelines for life. I've given them hope for a better tomorrow. And so their future lies in how effectively you explain the business to them. So it's a very critical thing, getting people started and getting them started effectively. In this day and age, Drew spoke about the economies, and we adapt to the tree and N because of the economy. That's good. But I go into a shopping center and I look around at the businesses going on outside there, and I just thank the Lord for him giving us this business. And you're in the same position, because today, every single business has its back to the wall, and they're fighting for sales, and they're fighting to succeed and grow businesses in a very difficult market. And the difference between us and them is they have these huge overheads, like they have capital investment, they have to pay rentals, they've got staff, they've got transport, vehicles, etc. to run. And here we have the privilege of having a beautifully efficient business that we can run from the comfort of our homes, and we can run on a global basis. Just today, I've been speaking to distributors in Australia, in America, in Kenya, and one in Europe as well. And so there's just all of this, and it's just grown from your home. So we have an exceptional opportunity. What we've got is good. It's good for people. It's good for you. It's good for them. So I want you to go out boldly with great confidence and do this business and get into the system of the 6-pack system. Get yourself some stock and move a 6-pack every week if you can, or once a month at least. Get your 100 points in and get moving with the system. We have just now moved into the month of March. March is the beginning of the new month, and we are going to have an exceptional month. But it starts off with you writing down what you want to achieve, drawing up an organization chart and saying, who can do what, who has what goals, and going about making those goals become part of their reality. So I want to just thank all the speakers tonight. I want to just wish you great success for the month of March, and let's go out and show the world that we have a better way of making things good. So God bless you all and good night. Thank you.